I'm Mason.
I'm Luis.
Today we're going to be talking about hip hop and how it's like evolved through the years.
Alright. Mason, what do you know about hip hop?
I know that it started in like the 1970s and it was in New York, like the Bronx. There's this guy named DJ Kool Herc. And he had a house party and he invited some people over and he had like turning things like.
Oh, like the DJ type thing?
Yeah. And then he used that and made like a really like beat that was like, like hip hop, I guess.
Yeah, like cut it up and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I made it like that. And like no one's ever heard that before. And he was like from Jamaica, so he wasn't from New York.
Yeah.
And he made that and like everyone there was like they started just rhyming to it. And then this became this big thing in the Bronx that like it was just hip hop. And then they just, what else did they do? They made like cassettes of it because they couldn't get it to the radio because it wasn't big. It was
And they just sell it around the
Yeah.
cities and stuff, yeah.
Just like Bronx, it was just going around until it finally went to the radio
Mm-hmm.
with, there's an album called Rappers Delight.
Yeah.
Rappers
Yeah,
Delight,
Rappers
because
Delight.
then it like really just blew up. And it got on radio and it
Yeah.
evolved to what we know today.
So, how do you think from that point, like moving on into the 80s, how do you think it being on the radio, how do you think that exposure kind of helped it to grow and evolve as a genre of music?
Well, it kind of it grew because people realized that they couldn't just they could just sit there and just rhyme over like a beat, or they could use it to send a message or like speak about like how they really feel
Mm-hmm.
and like get it out there to have try to like teach like the kids or whoever to be better. And
Yeah.
you got anything to add to that?
I think like too, as well as like all with like the exposure and stuff, I feel like a lot of people started to tune in more and like listening to
Yeah.
those problems that you were talking about. So like a lot of people became more familiar with the life of someone who was like living in that type of condition to where like, you can see the kind of like a life of somebody whenever you listen to whatever they're saying.
Yeah, like you can it's like reading a book.
Yeah.
Like you're like picturing yourself there. Like it's like they're telling a story. You can follow along with it just by listening to it.
I feel like too, like the way it evolved, it kind of like from people like NWA, like it moved like from, like you said, like New York. It started in New York and it ended up all the way in California. Like that's kind of crazy to think about.
Like
in like that
just
short time.
From that like Jamaican, like
Yeah,
from born in
10
Jamaica.
years, yeah. And like you know how like NWA is and like how they talk about all the political
Mhm.
stuff and like the gang violence and stuff.
Police brutality
Yeah.
and like stuff like
And
that.
mistreatments.
And like the really like the big rappers I look was like NWA, like LL Cool J
Yeah.
and Ice-T.
Ice-T, yeah. Everybody remembers Ice-T. But like I said, like with the gang violence and stuff, how do you think like that type of like rap kind of made people see hip hop about like the 90s? How do you think?
Well, like by the 90s, it was more like Tupac and Snoop Dogg and Biggie and all them. And that was like the golden age of rap, some say.
Yeah.
But it made people, like their perspective of music change a lot. Because like Tupac and Biggie would rap about like violence, like
Yeah.
gang violence, like killing people.
Yeah.
And a lot of people looked at it differently. They was like, oh, we don't want our kids listening to that. And they're going to end up doing that
Yeah.
because that's all they was hearing. And they just promoted violence.
Yeah.
But like, I know they was just like, they might have been really doing it. But
Yeah, they might have really been doing it, but I mean, like,
that
I
don't
know,
mean everyone's gonna-
yeah, I know that type of rap music kind of like influenced a lot of the rappers, like, from then, since then, to like start rapping more about that, more and more about that, to where it's kind of changed rap into
Like
like a gang type of
People
thing.
like look at it like it's like, oh, rap.
Oh, it's like violent, yeah, yeah.
Instead of like how it used to be, like just like,
Upbeat type music, yeah, yeah. Like, I know you know a lot of rappers like from 2000s, kind of changed the way it was since the 90s, since like the gang violence,
yeah.
and like how do you think like those rappers kind of made it change in that way?
Well, I still have something to add on to like the gang violence and stuff. Like the Tupac and Biggie, they're like the two biggest rappers of like '90s. But like with all the gang violence and stuff, they both got them killed, and they never got to see their full potential
Yeah.
all past the '90s, which is really so.
Do you think that they would they would have changed into what like 2000s are now, like the type of 2000s?
They would have had to. They would have had to like
evolved into it.
yeah, like change with the time, just like most rappers do. But yeah.
Like, what do you think type of music, like, judging the 2000s, like, what do you think type of music was?
They would have been
changed
more
into?
like just the beats would be like
Rhythmic and
yeah,
like,
it wouldn't be
melodic.
like just like so like rapping like it was like you would be able to hear the beats
I see.
and like
Like
try to
that,
move.
what are some rappers from 2000? Eminem, right?
Yeah,
Eminem?
Eminem.
Yeah, like Eminem type beats and stuff like that. Like,
Also 50 Cent,
oh, 50 Cent's
like in the club,
yeah.
like
That was like, I feel like that was definitely one of the most influential times where like you could really notice a change from the 90s to the 2000s.
there's also like Akon.
Akon, yeah, like that's whenever I feel like rap transitioned into more like a, like broke off into like a R&B into like a rapping type thing.
Yes, hip hop like it's like R&B, rap, like hip hop.
Yeah, it kind of divided into a thing. Yeah. So, moving on from 2010, how do you think the 2010s are now? How do you feel like that's kind of like a new? Are we like entering like a new era? Like have we entered a new era of music?
I don't know if from just like the 2010s, if we entered a new era just from like 4 years ago,
Yeah.
almost 5.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if it's really been a new era. It's definitely a lot has changed.
A lot of
since
different
it-
things, yeah.
I mean, I like it personally myself, but like the 2010s was like a really big change for music. Like,
Yeah.
like Drake, he got like really big.
Yeah, a lot of big rappers came from 2010 and up on,
Yeah.
and which are still doing music today.
Like from Kanye, from all the way to 2000, and like
Yeah.
he's like the 2010s, he's still like he never went on like a decline.
Mhm.
Like the 2010s he was like at his peak,
Yeah.
and he never really fell off, and he kind of just kept going.
So, how do you think, since, you know, thinking back on that, like, at the beginning of rap, how do you think, like, is it better that it changed from what it was than to what it is now? Or do you think it's kind of been, like, swaying back and forth, and it's like,
It
Yeah.
has kind of been swaying, like, people still now will rap about stuff like they did like the 90s.
yeah,
But some people will still rap like they did in the 70s. It's all just, like,
it's like a mixture.
yeah, it's a mixture of, like, every era. And it's still today. Like, all the eras, they still, like, some artists will still, like, rap or, like, make music just like they did throughout all the eras.
I think that is rap.
That's 8 minutes.